What's up everyone, welcome to the video. We are here talking the AdventHealth 400 at Kansas Speedway for Sunday, May 7th around 3 p.m. Eastern. And we have a hot one this weekend. We have temperatures in the 90s in the middle of the country with a small chance of rain. So I'd say we're good to go, but knowing NASCAR, you are never safe. And this will be our second visit at a mile-and-a-half track this year. The first one being about a couple months ago at Las Vegas, where William Byron dominated one with nearly 200 laps in that race, and his teammate Kyle Larson was also very fast in that race, finishing second. Don't forget we had a late caution at the end, which kind of skewed some of these finishes. And if you're looking at last year, Kansas was a Toyota show, specifically the 45 car. Didn't matter who was in it, they dominated, they won. We saw Kurt Busch in the 45 earlier in the season, that amazing looking Jordan Carter. And then we saw Bo Wallace of all people dominate and win in the second race. Now we have Tyler Reddick this year, so we'll see if they can go for a three-peat. But coming off a win last weekend at Dover, they're definitely looking tough to beat this weekend, but I'm sure Hendrick will have something to say for him. And before we get too far into it, if this is your first time here, what's up? My name is Chris Pinelli. I break down NASCAR DFS each and every single week on this channel. You'll also find me live on Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Eastern, breaking down the entire slate, answering any questions you guys may end up having. And if you guys do enjoy today's free content, make sure you leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and feel free to leave me a comment down below. Being nice, being mean, I don't really care either way, but I'd love to hear from you. And really quick, let me do some plugs here. So first off, if you guys are a new user over on Prize Picks or Underdog, promo code CPEN can get you instant deposit match bonus up to $100. It is free money, no strings attached. Use that to your advantage. You can use the link down below in the description or the pinned comment for that. And Prize Picks and Underdog do offer some NASCAR props, and I do cover that in my prop sheet in the model and in my article as well. And also for those of you over on Prize Picks, during the NBA playoffs, they're running a promo where you can opt in to win up to $1 million if you are randomly selected during the time slot that they pick. But you can win up to $1 million if you get 6 out of 6 correct. If you are selected, 5 out of 6 will net you $80,000. And 4 to 6 will net you $16,000, but you can't win if you don't sign up. So if you haven't yet done so, make sure you do that and use promo code CPEN when you do sign up. All right, so moving on to the strategy portion of this video, I do record this part before practicing qualifying, then I do the rest afterwards. But my assumption heading into the weekend is that we're going to see Toyota be strong once again, and we're going to see the Hendrick cars be strong once again, mainly Kyle Larson and William Byron. And also Ross Chastain is always fast at these track types, so you can throw him in the mix as well. But I'll give you guys a little preview of what some of the data that I have over on the spreadsheet that I think you guys will find helpful if you do have access to. But looking at some of these green flag speed numbers dating back to last year and this season. So if I sort this by current track, which is the 2 Kansas races from last year and the Las Vegas race from this season, because that's probably the only comparable track we've had so far this year, we see Bella's had the fastest car. He's in first in the rankings there. Then we have Kyle Larson, Martin Truex, Denny Hamlin, Bubba Wallace, and William Byron. So the top 6 cars there, it's either going to be Hendrick or all the Toyotas, which is basically what I'm expecting once again this weekend. If you're looking at the intermediates from last year, you see Kyle Larson at the top of the list, Ross Chastain, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, but he moved teams, so I wouldn't say that's very representable anymore. William Byron, Martin Truex, so kind of the same faces each and every single time. And if you're looking at overall this season, the fastest cars on the track, Kyle Larson's in first, William Byron, Ross Chastain, Denny Hamlin, and then Kevin Harvick. So basically the guys you would expect for the most part. And some of the last year numbers for Tyler Reddick aren't going to look as good because he wasn't in a Toyota, but now that he's in the 45 car this season, you have to imagine he's going to be near the tops of the list by the end of this year. And as far as roster construction is concerned, it's just your prototypical mile-and-a-half cookie cutter track, most comparable to Las Vegas. You can also throw on all the other intermediates as well, but you're looking at 2 dumb builds, then fill the rest in with either guys that have good place differential upside or finishing position upside. And don't get too carried away with place differential, because the fast cars, since we're going to have practicing qualifying this weekend, they're probably going to be starting closer to the front. So even if they do start in 9th place, don't be too afraid of them, because if they finish the race in 9th or 8th and they pick up some fast laps along the way, that's a lot better than rostering a guy that's starting in 27th, showed no speed, ends up finishing 25th. And moving on to the driver-by-driver breakdown portion here, I do have to mention one thing first. If you want to join the best NASCAR DFS community out there, we got a couple hundred people. I'd be more than happy to have you. Link down in the description or the pinned comment for that. Different tiers, 10, 25 bucks that you can check out. It has access to everything that I use and talk about each and every single week. And you can have access to all of it, all the data you'd ever need, color-coded nice and neat, projections for all sites. I got the optimizer, ownership projections, prop tool. I write the article each and every single week going over cash games or tournaments, Discord that we are in all day, every day, talking whatever it may be, fun stuff, DFS, betting, things like that, early week bets before the lines move. So just a fun place to hang out with some like-minded people. And I do cover baseball each and every single day in a similar fashion if that does interest you. Like I said, links down below for all that. But let's dive right into it here, starting with our top guy, Kyle Larson. He was obviously pretty good in practice and qualifying. Now, I will mention these are not the most up-to-date odds. I got these pre-practice and qualifying because DraftKings, FanDuel, all the books take down their odds during practice, although FanDuel didn't for a while, and we were able to take advantage of that. In practice overall, I thought we got some pretty good data. Toyota looks really strong. Obviously, Larson looked good as well. William Byron wasn't terrible, even though he scrubbed the wall. But the long run speed on some of the Toyotas, like Martin Truex Jr. and Denny Hamlin, looked very, very good. So we did get some good data this weekend. And I do want to warn you, the session just ended, so I don't even really know where these guys are starting besides the top 10. So we're going through this together. My first initial reactions, I'll obviously do all the projections and stuff on the Patreon and for the live stream tomorrow on Sunday. So we're just kind of going over first initial thoughts, then around my numbers, and we can have a better conversation about that then. But anyway, we got Larson here, the most expensive driver on both sides. He's on the front row with his teammate William Byron, the odds-on favorite to win this race, pre-practice and qualifying. Although I assume that's really not going to change. That number might even go down. I'm not really sure, but I'm assuming he will be the odds-on favorite here. If you're looking at his numbers in practice, very good. Good in the long run. Was kind of on pace with Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex. Although I still don't think his car is going to be as good as those guys in the long run. Toyota looked very strong, but the track position is definitely going to work well with Kyle Larson. And we saw in the interview with William Byron after qualifying when he got the pole, is that it sounds like he thinks Kyle Larson is going to be better than him. He mentioned near the wall is going to be the best place to go, which that's where Kyle Larson is best at. And if Larson had shade like William Byron, I think he probably would have gotten the pole either way. But I do like Larson here. He's going to be a threat to dominate. If you're looking at the two Kansas races from last year and Las Vegas this season, which is what we're looking at for recent track history, he's got the best drive rating, the best average running position, the best average finish, 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s. Not a win, but still a good chunk of dominator points, and it's going to be really hard to bet against Kyle Larson. So the thing is, though, the top 5 is absolutely loaded, so it's very hard to pick one of these guys. So for cash games, I think it's going to be pretty difficult this week because you have Larson, Byron, Truex, Reddick, Ross Chastain, and there's some other good drivers in the top 10 as well. So it's going to be a little bit tough this weekend just selecting one or two of these guys. And don't forget about Denny Hamlin and Christopher Bell, 8th and 12th. So lots of very tough decisions this weekend. Like I think everybody in this 10K range is playable. So for me personally, I'm not reading my numbers, but I'm assuming it's going to be just a mix and match week where I'm not like extremely heavy on one guy. Maybe I'm highest on like Hamlin based off of what we saw in practice, or Martin Truex Jr. because the price is a little bit lower. But for the most part, it looks like I'll just be mixing and matching because having a strong stance on just like one of these guys, it looks like it's going to be pretty tough. But obviously Larson does look pretty good here. William Byron, 10-9 on DK, the second most expensive driver on both sides. He's on the pole. I actually bet him at plus 800 this morning. And even though he's on the pole, I still don't feel that great about it. I wish I would have took a stab on like a Hamlin or like a Martin Truex Jr. instead of plus 850 because I think those guys do have better cars. But that's not to say William Byron can't dominate. I mean, his numbers in practice weren't as good. He did scrub the wall as well, had to come in early, but then came back out and put some laps down. And if we're looking at the recent track history and past 2 races, obviously he was incredible at Las Vegas, led nearly 200 laps in that race and won. As you can see, he just had the most dominator points, and Byron and Larson have just been the 2 best cars so far this year. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we see William Byron dominate a lot and contend for the win. But I really do like what I saw from the Toyotas. So maybe they're the guys that dominate in stage 1, but then when stage 2, stage 3 hits, maybe that's when they come alive, the Toyotas. I mean, so Byron's got to be in your player pool for sure. Again, as far as cash games are concerned, I'm not exactly sure yet. I got to see where ownership falls. But I'm going to have exposure in tournaments for sure. I mean, you just can't fade guys like Larson and Byron, especially in the front row, because they lead like 100 laps. You're just dead on arrival without them. So you got to make sure they're in your player pool. Denny Hamlin, a guy that I am probably going to have a ton of. He's starting at 8th, so you get a little bit more of a safety net compared to starting on the front row if they happen to make any mistakes. But he comes in at $10,700 in 8th at plus 800 opened up. I'm assuming that's going to go down if you watch practice. So if the odds do not adjust on that, make sure you jump on it because it looks like he's got the car to beat so far. As you can see in practice, just swept it across the board. First in the 1 through 25 lap runs in practice. Good at this track type. Obviously, Kansas was dominated by Toyota last year. So yeah, I love Denny Hamlin. And if you're playing cash games, I do think he's pretty safe there. Tyler Reddick, $10,400. He's starting in 5th, and that's a pretty hefty price tag on Tyler Reddick, but I know why they did it. The 45 car won both races here last year, and he was no slouch in practice, 8th, 3rd, 5th, and 3rd. I'm going to have to view him only as a tournament play. It's just going to be hard to play him in cash games because I'm I'd probably rather get to either one of the Hendrick cars or like a Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex, or Christopher Bell with where they're starting, or just because I trust like a Hamlin and Truex more over Tyler Reddick. But Reddick's going to be in my player pool, especially in tournaments. You got to have some exposure there. I hate to keep saying that, but all these guys are in play, and I'm not going to tell you to fade one when I'm not going to be doing that. It's just going to be a mix and match approach for me up top. And there are going to be some guys we fade, obviously. Like in the 9K range, I'm seeing quite a few guys I probably don't want to have any part of. But, I mean, these 10K guys, you're just going to have to mix and match if you're building multiple lineups. Christopher Bell, $10,200. He's starting in 12th. We talked about it earlier in the strategy section. Hopefully you didn't skip over that. But if you look at the 2 Kansas races from last year and the Las Vegas race this season, he does have the best average green flag speed marking. So I think Bell is going to be someone you're going to have to look at as well. I mean, second in the 5 lap, second in the 10. Good intermediates. I'm assuming he's going to be a top 5 contender here. And for where he's starting, that's a decent amount of place differential, and the price points pretty cheap. I mean, he's $1,000 cheaper than Kyle Larson. I would say they have somewhat similar upside here, especially with how fast the Toyotas look. So Bell's got to be in the player pool. Same with Martin Truex Jr. He might have the car to beat once again this week. I know he won last week, so we will see if lightning can strike twice. But man, his car looked so good, especially in the long run. Like his tire fall off compared to some other guys was just really good. As you can see, short run didn't look that great. I mean, for 20th in the 1 lap, then 10th in the 5, but then 5th in the 10, 2nd in the 15. It just got better as the run went on. So I'm loving Truex here. All the Toyotas should be fast, and Truex looks like he might. Him and Denny Hamlin looks like the ones to beat as of right now, and obviously some really good numbers at Kansas and Las Vegas so far this season and last year, and just overall good numbers at intermediate. So yeah, loving Truex, and at $10,000, he is the easiest to afford out of all these guys. Then dropping down to the 9K range, we have our first good fade candidate, more than likely, Chase Elliott, $9,800. He's starting in 21st, so I think people will flock to that. But I would much rather get guys like Martin Truex Jr. in. I'd rather play Ross Chastain personally. Probably rather play Kyle Busch, to be honest, at $9,400. I just can't see myself paying up for Chase Elliott, which I hate to say pay up because he's kind of cheap for Chase Elliott. But he did not have speed at the intermediates last year. He did not have speed at all in practice. I mean, if you're looking at his numbers, 22nd, 25th, 16th. And if you're looking at his green flag speed numbers from last year, so the 2 Kansas races in Vegas, although I think Josh Berry was in Vegas, 13.2 for his average green flag speed. And then if you're looking at the similar tracks, he's just way far off these other guys. So I don't think he's going to have speed to dominate. And I'd just much rather get to the guys that are priced right above him or even right below him, because I just like them a lot better in tournaments. And I don't even think I'd probably prioritize Elliott in cash games, even though he's starting in 21st. Just hasn't really had the best speed at intermediates. In the next gen car, we have Ross Chastain, $9,600. He's starting in 3rd. He's an interesting tournament play. He was obviously very fast at Dover last weekend. Practice, kind of weird for him. 4th in the 5 lap, 19th in the 10. But he was just one of the best overall cars at the intermediate tracks last year. So I don't think you can write him off. I won't be super high on Chastain, but he's not someone I'm going to completely avoid. Like, let's just say ownership-wise, he comes in at 15%. I wouldn't mind just being maybe a little bit overweight on that. And I'm not even sure I'll get the 15% because I think more people will play Busch. I think more people will play Elliott. And then obviously Truex and all these 10K ranges can have a good chunk of ownership. So Ross should be pretty low owned, and it's not a bad thing to be on. A low owned Ross had an intermediate, that's for sure. We have Kyle Busch here, $9,400. He's starting in 16th. I don't hate him. I don't think I'm going to try to prioritize Kyle Busch on this slate, but he's always been fast at the intermediates dating back to last season. And I know he's no longer with Joe Gibbs, which sucks because, Joe Gibbs looks amazing this weekend, but he should have some decent speed. He was 3rd in the 1 lap, 7th in the 5, 7th in the 10. Then I realized the great finish wasn't there last weekend, but I mean, he kind of screwed his day up by speeding. Then he gets some damage. So he still had a decent car, though. He was moving through the field. Just obviously wasn't going to be a contender after that. So I don't hate Kyle Busch at that price point starting in 16th. I'd rather play Busch over Chase Elliott personally. Ryan Blaney, $9,200. He's starting in 10th. I just don't think I can play a Ford this week. They just have no speed at all, and they are miles behind Hendrick, Joe Gibbs, and all those guys. So I'll probably just be passing on the Fords. Bubba Wallace, $9,000. He's starting in 17th. Don't mind him at all. Didn't look like he had the top line speed of some of these other guys like Bell, Truex, Hamlin, Tyler Reddick, his teammates. But I don't think he's going to be that slow during the race. He should be a top 10 contender. So I do like Bubba Wallace here for tournaments. And I say tournaments just because of the price point, because it's going to be hard to get there at 9K if you're just jamming in 2 studs in the 10K range. So I'm okay with Bubba, but we'll just see how much he pops in the optimal when I run Sims. Then we have Kevin Harvick here, $8,700. So that's one thing. I think it's going to be a good week for the sim sheet because it's going to have the ownership on there. It's going to have the optimal rates, and we'll see where we can get the best leverage because it's really tough up top this week. And I don't lie to you guys. I'll let you guys know what's up and what I'm thinking, and I'll never say it's easy. But I do think it's a little difficult up top this week to try to narrow in on like 1 or 2 guys. Kevin Harvick, though, $8,700 again, just a forward, which pains me to say because I feel like I've played Harvick every single week this year, but I just do not think the forwards are going to have speed. And $8,700 in 13th, we're going to need him to contend for a top 5-ish, which I just don't see that happening this weekend. Joey Logano, I'm not playing him either. Obviously, he wasn't terrible, 4th in the 1 lap and 6th in the 5 lap, but again, I just don't really see them having much speed. He was on the pole for Vegas, ended up finishing dead last, I think. He was on the DVP, but I just don't think I'm going to play forwards. He's so cheap, though. It's tempting because of the price tag, but I'm just going to have a hard time getting there. Brad Keselowski, $8,200. He's starting in 20th. Just, again, forwards, they were so slow. 31st in the 1 lap, 20th in the 5 lap. The place differential is there. I mean, I'd rather play him over Joey Logano just because of that, but like I'd rather play Suarez over Brad Keselowski. It looks like he had a good car, so I'll be lower on Kes if he's going to be, I hate to try to project ownership just off the top of my head, but let's just say he's like 15-20%. I'll be underweight on that. Much rather be overweight on Suarez. I know he's starting half the field further up, but he looks like he's got a good car. I mean, 8th in the 5 lap, 4th in the 10, 3rd in the 15, 4th in the 20, 2nd in the 25. Obviously, not as many guys ran that. And just looking down, we have Ty Gibbs there too. Like I'd rather play Gibbs and Suarez over guys like Keselowski, Logano, Kevin Harvick personally. I just think they're gonna have a lot more speed. And I did place a bet on Daniel Suarez. He was at plus 140 for a top 10. I think other books had him at like minus 130 or something like that. So I like the odds we got on that. And yeah, I feel pretty good about that now. So yeah, my only bets I have as of right now recording was William Byron at plus 800 to win. And then Daniel Suarez at plus 140 for a top 10, which I feel all right about both. I'm not sure how I feel about Byron. I just think the Toyotas look better in Kyle Larson, but we'll see. But I do like Suarez here. I think he'll be one of the better tournament plays on the slate. Same exact thing can be said for Ty Gibbs. Like everything I said about Daniel Suarez, just apply it to Ty Gibbs here. Toyota's got speed, and you're getting a JGR car at below $8,000. So I would take that. I think Ty Gibbs is fine. He's been running really well. He's been running very, very well. Josh Berry, $7,700. He's starting all the way back in 29th. I think you just had to have exposure because of that. And he's not in a Ford. He's in a Hendrick car, which, I mean, Hendrick's definitely got speed. I mean, you have Kyle Larson and William Byron in the front row. Chase Elliott wasn't that great. So, the 9 car and the 48 didn't have a ton of speed on Saturday. But, I mean, I don't think Josh Berry's going to be a 29th place car. So I don't mind him. Although, again, Suarez and Ty Gibbs look great for tournaments. Chase Briscoe, the Fords just sucked. It's tempting for where he's starting, but I would rather play Josh Berry. Chris Buescher, he's starting in 14th. For being in a Ford, it could have been a lot worse. I mean, he's starting in 14th and 12th, 16th, 8th, and 18th and 9th. I'm still not really sure I want to play that much Chris Buescher, but at least he was not as dead as some of these other guys. Ryan Preece, 28th, just another Ford casualty. I mean, they had absolutely no speed whatsoever. Ricky Stenhouse in 33rd, $7,000. No speed in practice, no speed in qualifying. It's one of those guys where, yeah, they're starting in the back, like Preece, Berry, Briscoe. Maybe not. I don't really want to put Berry in there, but like Briscoe, Preece, and Stenhouse, yeah, they're starting in the back, but are they just going to finish there? Are they going to move much? So that's what I'm saying. Don't get overly excited about place differential because, let's say they're just battling for top 25s and Suarez and Gibbs are like 6, 7 place with some fast laps mixed in. I'd much rather have those guys at lower ownership. I'm not saying they'll be lower owned, but just for an example. Austin Dillon, he's in 11th here, $6,900, $1,500 over on FanDuel. Wasn't that bad in practice, actually. 10th in the 1 lap, 12th in the 5, and 9th in the 10. I actually don't think he's the worst tournament play in the world. Like, it's almost more tempting to play Austin Dillon rather than a guy like Ricky Stenhouse or Ryan Preece, especially if the ownership is going to be a bit lower. And if we're looking at the 2 Kansas races from last year in Las Vegas, Dillon with an average finish of 18th, but 2 top 15 finishes. So I believe something happened to him in the 1 where it skewed the average finish there. I'd have to go look back on that because I don't remember exactly. But I don't mind the speed I saw from Dillon. Kyle Busch wasn't that slow either. So if RCR is going to have some speed this week, I don't hate a low-owned Austin Dillon. Eric Almirola, it's just tough to play a Ford, man. They were slow in practice, and Almirola is one of those guys where it's just really hard to trust him. Austin Cindric, he's starting in 15th. Again, a Ford. He was good in the 1 lap where he was second, but after that, 31st in the 5 and then 21st in the 10, I just probably won't play Austin Cindric. Eric Jones, he's in 19th. I just have a hard time playing any of the legacy cars. And we did get news that they're moving to Toyota next year, so maybe that's just why they suck, because they're just kind of mailing it in this season until they get a Toyota. So Probably just not going to be playing Eric Jones, although I would rather play Jones over guys like Cindric and Almirola, I think, as of right now, but not over Dylan. AJ Allmendinger, he's starting in 27th, just not a ton of speed. Probably just going to finish somewhere close to where he starts. Dropping down to the 5K range, Michael McDowell, he's in 23rd, 15th in the 5 lap in practice, 14th in the 10. Could certainly be worse. I mean, I don't hate him as just a cheap play, but that's about the only nice thing I can say about Michael McDowell. Justin Haley, he's in 30th, probably going to run somewhere to Dinger, which I don't think is going to be that great. But if you just need a cheap play in the back and just hope they don't wreck and nail your dominators and these guys won't kill you. Corey LaJoie, not bad at all in practice, 14th in the 1, 11th in the 5, qualified 24th. I'm okay with Corey LaJoie. He's got more track position and looks like a little bit more speed than some of these guys. Todd Gillen, starting in 32nd, $5,400. He just continues to run pretty well. He's top 20 in practice. Don't mind him as a cheap guy. Harrison Burton in 25th. Yuck, I just hate playing Harrison Burton personally. Noah Gregson, I don't think I can ever play. Although 17 to 5 wasn't terrible, neither was 12 to 10, but I hate playing Noah Gregson. And I don't do it either, so I'm not going to start now. Then the 4K range, I don't think you can touch these guys. Ty Dillon starting way too far up. Yaley, Brennan Poole, Balicki. I guess if you had to play one, I don't even know who you play, to be honest. Yaley was 22nd, but he was only 22 cars that ran 10 laps. I would say it's between Yaley or Brennan Poole, but I would probably just pass on all of these guys. But with that being said, that's all I got for you guys this week. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, make sure you leave a like down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet done so. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, want to make fun of me, you can do that down in the comments section as well. And don't forget to check out the Patreon if you want access to the extra content. I'll see you guys tomorrow at the live stream around 11 a.m. Eastern. Wish you all the best of luck, and I'll see you all next time.